speaker. Rene De Silva, Mind Your Health. Rene De Silva, Mind Your Health.
Good evening to all you listeners out there, and thank you for tuning in again to Toast FM. As you know, at Toast FM, we like to talk about the pressing issues, and we are never afraid to point out any elephants in the room. And I can assure you there'll be plenty of elephants pointed out today, as always. So, to get things started, our feature on today's program is mental health, and our guest today is Rene De Silva, who is a volunteer with the mental health organisation April'15, and has come in to talk to us about this important subject. Rene, I'll now pass over to you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me on the show tonight. MAPRC, if you allow me to expand, stands for the Monash Alfred Psychiatry and Research Centre. At MAPRC, being a research centre, our main aim is to carry out world-class research to help make a difference to the lives of people suffering from serious mental illnesses. It is estimated that mental health issues affect 1 in 5 Australians, and these range from depression and addiction to eating disorders, bipolar syndromes, and schizophrenia. These illnesses severely affect the quality of life of the sufferer, and thus, by extension, they affect the quality of life of the patient's family as well, for they often have to put up with or become responsible or have to care for those who suffer from mental illnesses, and thus their quality of life is compromised as well. And by extension, there is a flow-on effect to society too. Some of the problems in society, homelessness being one example. In a 2013 report, it was estimated that the annual economic cost of mental health issues, problems to Australia is $190 billion. So in our role, we seek to discover treatments that are effective in restoring the person as well as treating the symptoms. Being based as a teaching hospital, such as the Alfred, we are in close proximity to the clinical setting, and we see a lot of case studies every day, which allows us to connect our work to the real issues facing people with mental illness, so it is relatable and transferable into the real world. It is highly important that treatment is specifically tailored to each individual, as a one-size-fits-all approach does more harm than good. As far as our track record goes, we have registered a number of successes under our belt. For example, we have had success working with the hormone estrogen, and we've discovered that it does have some effect in improving schizophrenia symptoms in certain women. Another of our achievements is the use of TMS, or what's known as transcranial magnetic stimulation. And it is a non-invasive way that has been shown to be effective in treating depression. Currently, we are working to understand the activity in the vestibular system, which is the middle ear for human beings. And we hope that our work in that can lead to improvements in therapies used to treat illnesses such as Parkinson's and bipolar disorders. But the real area where our work is really beneficial, Sam, is in that what we do, we can then relate on, and we can communicate and coordinate with pharmaceutical companies, governments, and special mental health services as to what works and what does not work, and what are the best strategies to employ with regards to mental health. Ultimately, our mission is to keep discovering new treatments, new understandings, and new services for mental illnesses with great respect, equality, and delivered with great understanding. For more information on what we do, I would refer you to our website, which is extremely comprehensive about us, our history, and our work at www.maprc.org.au.
Thanks very much for that, Rene. We'll be taking some calls on this shortly, so if you have a question, feel free to call us on 13 11 12. Now, firstly, I have a question. How can we ourselves support loved ones, friends, or someone that we know in the community that has a mental illness?
Well, there's a few things that you can do, Sam. So, for example, that would actually depend upon your relationship with the person. If you feel you have a fairly good relationship and you only know that from your time interacting with each other, it's something that you can perhaps even discuss with them. It's a topic that, when it's talked about, certainly does help. Quite often, some people find it quite hard to open up about things such as mental illnesses. In that case, that there are special services out over there, counseling helplines amongst them as well. If you can, get them to perhaps talk to a professional in that sense, or maybe even if you talk to one of these support services and they could perhaps advise you on what you could be doing, that would help sort of break down the barriers a little bit and get you talking about the situation. So hopefully, if they do in fact are actually suffering from mental illness, they can then start to find interventions and treatments for.
Great advice, thank you so much for that. We now actually have a caller on the line. We have George from Frankston. George, we have you on the line. What would you like to speak to me?
G'day, Samara. First of all, I must congratulate you on your wonderful program. I listen to it every week. I just wouldn't miss it. I have a question for our guest today, Rene.
Yes, go
Rene,
ahead.
as a child of the 60s, and because of that, obviously, man, I can remember most of it, but I used to sort of experiment a bit with the old marijuana. And it didn't seem to do me any harm, but nowadays people have sort of progressed on to the drug ice, as they call it. I'm really interested in your view on this and what you think we can do about this. I mean, $190 billion, my goodness. Surely we can do something better with that money. What's your view on it?
Yes, the $190 billion, that is in fact a significant cost to Australia. And it's not just economic cost, but we've assigned dollar values to the society cost as well. In terms of, you say, the drug ice, well, the issue really is an addiction issue, I feel, in this case. Addiction, as I mentioned in my talk earlier with Sam, that is a form of a mental issue as well. Like I said, there are programs available out over there. You have to be very patient. It's important that you're extremely patient with, if you do know anyone who might be battling with such an addiction, because they may not just come around so easily. So be prepared to take a lot of time with it. Be prepared for a few failures as well, a few knockbacks, so to speak. But yeah, I wouldn't go on to those special services out there, which you can find on the internet, drug counseling and so on. And if that's what you feel that, and if you're referring to someone particular would need as a bit of help, then certainly do explore that option, George.
Thank you for your call, George. So another question is, if any of our audience members wanted to get more involved, how can they do so, Rene?
Okay, Sam. So we'd love more people to get involved as well. Many hands, as they say, do make light work. Of course, we do a lot of good work, but that doesn't just happen by accident. It does cost money, of course. So people are too welcome to make a donation on our website that I mentioned earlier, maprc.org.au. All funds go 100% into mental health research, so it's all put into there. We have a couple of avenues as well. For example, if you're the healthy, active, outdoors type, we do actually run a fun run every year annually on the last Sunday in August called the DeCastella Fun Run for Mental Health Research. So it has been proven in the past with studies that physical activity certainly does help in terms of alleviating certain mental health symptoms and just making the person feel aura a little bit better. So do come out to that. The earnings from that do go back into our research too. Also, by the way, this evening, another thing we do is we have a trivia night. So if you're available this Friday, I should say, in North Melbourne at Blackwoods Road, we have a trivia night where the proceeds will be raised and put back into the research as well. So do come on down, places are still available, tables are still available, only $20 a pop to get them down over there. So yes, please, we do encourage people to get involved, not just through donations, but through other things such as outdoor physical activity and coming down to the nights that we put on, where you can learn a bit more in depth about what we do as well, to give you a better idea and some more education, information and knowledge out there.
Right, well that's all we have about time for. Thank you, Rene, for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure to have you here to speak about such an important issue. And if our listeners would like to get any further information on this, we'll be posting some more information about MAP RC on our Toast FM website. We'll now break to a song, but please stay with us as we have a jam-packed evening filled with more interesting issues and entertainment coming right up.
Thanks, Sam.